Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Mike, and if you're new here, we are working on a pair of Honda 300 Fourtraxes. This one we rebuilt the engine in. Letting my son decide what we're doing with this one. He settled on we're just going to fix it. We're not going to do a complete restoration. So today's video is we're going to get the plastic off of it. We're going to get an inventory of parts of what we need, and hopefully get some parts ordered and get this thing fixed up and complete. So if you're new and haven't followed my channel before, you're probably wondering how we got here. Well, I just finished up a 2.5-year Case 1840 skid steer restoration, and about halfway through that, my son Andrew kept asking about when are we going to buy a four-wheeler? When are we going to buy a four-wheeler? So eventually I decided that we were going to do a four-wheeler restoration, which turned into 2 four-wheelers, so here we are. Should come up now. So this rack's definitely bent. Yeah, right through here. Alright, fenders. What's still holding it?
This.
Just feed the wires through here. There we go. Get the front rack off. The green one we're working on here is a 98 model. Bought it in Des Moines, Iowa for $400. It was not running. Brought it home. All it took was a carb clean, and we've actually been riding this one and kind of putting off doing anything with it because he's been enjoying it for the time being. But it's the time now to tear it down, fix all the mechanical stuff that's wrong with it, some bearings, some loose front end parts. But overall, like I said, it's in pretty decent shape. Let me help. Alright, go set this somewhere, don't spill it. Get it up enough where the tire's off the ground so we can check the bearings, see if we need to do anything back here. Okay. Tight on that side. This hub is loose, I can feel it. This model was considered to be Honda's most durable ATV ever made, but it did have its weak point, the rear axle, specifically the differential and the bearing on the right brake. Maybe a little play in this bearing on this side, not much. Yep, in the center. Alright, that's good. Lower ball joint just got a little bit. A little bit of play in it. Not bad though. Same with this one. The lower ball joint's a little loose, but all right, let's get this thing outside so we can pressure wash it.
This is pretty easy to roll with you helping.
Yeah, with me helping. If there's one thing I've learned is that getting your project you're working on clean makes things so much easier. Spending a little bit of time here to pressure wash it will definitely speed things up. All right, we're all pressure washed, and I took the blowgun and blew everything out, including the electrical connectors, and not really seeing any big surprises. Probably the biggest thing is the exhaust is a lot worse than I thought. Someone had tried to cobble some weld on there. Probably can't fix that, probably need to replace it. Really nothing else looked too bad. The frame's got some paint peeling off of it, but it's all just surface rust, nothing super concerning. Engine cleaned up pretty good. We're kind of diving into this. When I got this ignition switch, the guts of it were ripped out. So I just took this loose, and I did find that the oil temp light was non-functional. Looks like either someone accidentally cut the wire off of it or purposely. So maybe it was annoying them because it was overheating, or I don't know. But I need to get the ignition switch replaced. I gotta get this brake cable. It was not sure what was going on with that. Reverse cable's not in the greatest shape either, so I'll probably get one of those. But this thing's not gonna take a whole lot. Probably I'm gonna put some rear tires on it at least. Gonna dive into this and see what we all need for, I know the bearing is in that plate We'll check the brakes out while we're in there. Surprisingly, which the brakes work on this thing. The brakes almost never work on these four-wheelers, so that's kind of amazing. But yeah, looking pretty good overall. I'm gonna open up this electrical box to see if we can get this ignition switch replaced. I did pick up a Honda one from, I think, Partzilla. Yep, that's still gonna work all right. Look at that. Almost too nice. Hey guys, I just got back from a week of travel and I got a bunch of parts in for our green ATV that we're fixing up. Some of the bigger stuff. I got a whole airbox assembly, genuine Honda filter, brake light, new old stock reverse cable, new handlebar grips, new genuine Honda ball joints, rear brake shoes, Koyo bearing for the rear brake plate, whole bunch of miscellaneous seals and O-rings for putting the rear brake bearing in. I think we got enough to get started on this, and I think I'm going to drive right into the rear axle to get that right brake plate bearing replaced. So probably the hardest part of the job is going to be able to get these nuts loose. I'm sure there's a Honda special tool, like a tube that goes over here. I don't have that. I also don't want to put tons of pressure through this differential, so I got a backer wrench on these nuts, but it may cause this to come loose. We'll have to see what happens here. I think the best way to handle this is just going to go ahead and use the torch and warm this up. The seals in here are all going to get replaced anyway, so it's not going to hurt anything. There we go. That usually always does the trick. Always run into unexpected problems. Now, when I was working on these as a teenager, when I pulled this cover off, it was almost always full of mud and water, because we'd basically ride the creeks with them, which is very abusive. I'm kind of out of that stage of life, but it's quite surprising that this is so dry. That's why I suspect this machine had a little bit different life than the ones that I grew up with, as the farmers would use them on the farm through the day, through the week, and their kids would take them river swamping on the weekends, and they didn't hold up well. They hold up fairly well to that, but eventually they all succumb to a fate of no brakes and the differential going out. Yeah, that bearing doesn't really even feel bad. So this kind of all for naught, I guess. I don't know why I thought I felt play in there, but anyway, I'll get this all cleaned up and we can go back together with it. There it comes. There's a felt one, and then there's the rubber one. That spring should come out of there, but this one's kind of rusted in. While the ultrasonic cleaner heats up, this was a very common issue on them where this would get all rusty. As you can see, this one's kind of rusty. But also the diameter would get too great, 160. So technically it's still good, but I'm going to clean it up with this sandpaper and then I'll remeasure it and probably reuse it. So I got the brake drum over here on the lathe, and I'm going to mount it in here mainly so I can fix this seal surface. It's not bad, but there's a little bit of a groove that's there. I want to polish that out. About 300 to 400 grit sandpaper is ideal. I'm going to get it mounted. I did flip the jaws, and this is a 4 jaw, so it kind of has to be centered. Doesn't have to be perfect because we're not turning anything here, but I don't want it to be flopping all around either. Okay, this is the surface we're going to polish. It's 320 grit surface or sandpaper. Kick the machine on. Got this just snug enough so hopefully it doesn't fly out. You can see it's not perfect. Doesn't need to be for this operation. And this one's actually in really good condition compared to most. It looks really, really good. While I had it over here, I flipped it around, took the opportunity to polish the inside and this seal surface as well. Just real light. So, should give us a good serviceable drum. All right, I got this brake backing plate out of the ultrasonic cleaner. Cleaned up pretty well. There was a lot of heavy corrosion where this O-ring was, so wire wheeled that. And I'm going to go ahead and press the new bearing in. This is not going to take a lot of force. You can probably just use the acme thread here. It's easier than hitting it in with a punch. I think we're good. Yep, it's bottomed. And I'm going to use the same setup to push this new seal in. We got our new washer. This is the old one that was deformed and bent. So nothing too special, just looks like a piece of stamped out stainless. And this is dry now, so we can get this put back on. We'll snug those up after we get the wheels on. All right, I got grease on the spline here like the manual shows. It's a high moly grease. And this is about 120 foot-pounds. See if we can get that out of it without the wheel on. I'm gonna throw the wheel back on, then I can tighten that down pretty snug. It does call for thread locker on this outer locking nut. Definitely needs cleaned out. This ATV really isn't in that bad a shape. The front end has minimal play in the ball joints, tie rod ends. But being I'm a perfectionist, anytime I felt play, I felt that it needed to be replaced. Kind of going down a rabbit hole with this, and while you're there mentality, which ended up probably costing me a lot more money, but I do know long term I'll feel good that everything is buttoned up solid. But hope you enjoy the process, because a lot of work here that I sped the video up quite substantially so we could get through it quicker. You can see this axle boot's been leaking. I'm not so sure if this joint is good or not. All of the boots got some pretty significant weather cracking. I bought a boot kit, and we're gonna press out the ball joints, put a tie rod in on both sides. The inners are tight. I believe, well, maybe not. And yeah, so ball joints, tie rod ends, CV boots, inspect the CV axles, and that should get the front all whipped into shape. Get these snap rings off. I got a combination of scrap pieces here that I believe will help me press this out. Just a bolt through the top, and then this piece is a smaller diameter than the joint itself. Oh yeah. Right. No problem at all. I wasn't going to do anything with the rest of this, but the seals got visible dry rotting cracks in them. So the bearings are great. Nice clean grease in them, probably original. I think I'm just gonna pop the seals out, and then I will get all the old grease out, re-grease them, put new seals on them, and that's gonna be the most quality repair. I apologize, the afternoon sun, I can't really move the press easily. I got a new genuine Honda ball joint. We're going to press this on here. Okay, I think I finally got the setup that's going to work here. Go all the way down. Get the seat clip on and it'll be good. These axles are in better shape than I originally thought they were. The grease is clean. Here I just was marking so everything goes back together in the same orientation. And I use a little rotary burr to mark the end so I can get the that bearing cage back on in the same orientation. I feel keeping everything aligned the way it was originally is probably best. Alright guys, so I've spent a ton of time cleaning this axle out. Multiple rounds in the parts washer, the solvent tank, back and forth, blowing it out, because this joint is not, you cannot separate it. But overall, there's really no abnormal wear in the joint. I mean, it has, visible marks in it, but nothing you can feel. So I don't think there's really any problem with the joint itself. This is going to be a very messy process. It just is what it is. I ran out of my Harbor Freight gloves, so I'm just gonna have to deal with it. So the first thing I'm gonna do is grease this inner joint. And I'm gonna use air pressure to try to blow some of that back. We got a whole box of seals and parts in this week, which allows us to get these spindles or knuckles finished. All these directly from Honda. I'm going to go ahead and tap those in. I think this little piece of scrap aluminum will fit perfect over this seal to hammer those down in. Originally, I wasn't going to change the upper ball joint or upper ball joints, but that one is kind of corroded and doesn't move smooth. So I went ahead and ordered them. To get this arm off, this hose goes through the center, so I got to take the brake off anyway, and it'll be easier to clean it. So this vent is already cracked, so I'm just going to pull it off. And I know I'm going to lose fluid and have to bleed it and everything, but that's okay. Both the upper arms are off, and I'm going to press the ball joints out exactly the same as the lowers on the press. Well, I ran into a little bit of a problem. There's really nothing to press against in the press. I don't have enough meat. So tried to use the air hammer. I got it out a little bit. Ended up taking a torch to it, and it basically just melted the aluminum, and then it came right out. So I think I'm gonna do the same thing. Get this a little warm with the torch. Should be enough. Kind of the same deal, basically almost kind of melted it out of there. It's been a lot more work on these upper arms than I was anticipating. After we got the ball joints out, had my son sandblast the loose paint off of them, press the new ball joints in, and now I'm going to put a quick coat of paint on them so they won't rust, and then I'll be able to get them back on here shortly. Okay, we got the axles cleaned up. We're working on the upper control arms. I'm going to get my son to take off the tie rods, and then we'll get these tie rod ends replaced. Pretty tight in there, isn't it? You're definitely finding out how hard things are to do on your own. Hey, you got it all the way out on your own, bud. Let me see it.
Hard.
Yep, good job. This thing's so deep, it'd be silly not to change this front differential axle seal, one on each side. I did go ahead and order them, so I have them here. I'm going to try to pop them out of here. Oh, okay, that comes out really easy. I don't think I've ever replaced those before. If you first look at this, it looks like they're in backwards, but the spring is on the, always goes towards the oil side, or the lip goes towards the oil side. So here's the new seal from Honda. You can almost push it in by hand. There it is. And when you slide the axle in, make sure you put a little grease there so you don't rip the lip. I'm going to go ahead and change the other one off camera. Okay guys, let me show you the next big problem we have. So, the exhaust. Someone welded it onto the frame. I got the nuts off on the header pipe, all the bolts off. Because it's welded, it's hard to really get in there, so I'm thinking if I cut it off here, I can kind of bend and flex this, and once that's out of the way, then I can clean it up, and we all know there's a broken bolt behind there. But let's get that cut in half, and we can deal with it from there. That's kind of what I figured. They welded it, but didn't do a very good job, so it was good for us. And funny enough, there's not even a bolt broken off in it. So does that mean they were just too lazy to find the right bolt? I'll clean it up. Looks like I'll definitely need to run a tap through it, but things are looking up as far as the exhaust goes. Yeah, funny enough, all this is going to take is a tap, and it was welded just because there wasn't a bolt available. Not my style. I got something else to show you guys. You guys know I like to use original OEM parts when possible, so that's nothing new. But as far as the exhaust goes, you can't buy an OEM Honda exhaust anymore. So I have to resort to aftermarket. And Friday Parts reached out to see if they could help with an exhaust system on this. And what they don't know is I've actually used them in the past, and I did have an issue in the past, and they did take care of it and make it right. So I agreed to work with them because of how they treated me on the last occurrence. And I'm happy to report that I did test fit this already, that this exhaust appears to be very well made, and it fits perfect. All of the holes line up exactly. So I can't tell any difference as far as fitment from the original. Quality, welds, everything looks good. So I'm super happy with that. And once I get this thing all back in running order, we'll take a listen to see how it sounds compared to the original. Some oil base primer down there, and we're finally at the point in the project where all the frame prep and sanding and rust proofing is going to hopefully pay off long term. So I'm going to brush a light coat on all the bare areas where I treated, and then we'll have to let that dry overnight, and I can finally put a coat of black paint on this. I'm just realizing now that I didn't video the fact that I put OSFO on all the bare sections of the frame. It's a great rest converter, can get into tight spots. Only downside is you have to use oil-based primer over the top of it. Well, you don't realize how many spots you got to touch up until you spend, I don't know, an hour and a half doing it, but it turned out really well. I'll let that dry, and then, like I said, get the black on. I paid particular close attention to not get it all slopped on the harness or anything. So I don't like the look of all the overspray or, you know, all of the harnesses and tubing and connectors and stuff that shouldn't be painted. I made sure I didn't get any paint on any of that. So in the end, it should look really good. All right, I'm on to the first coat of black, but I left one side painted, this side, so you can see the difference, and the unpainted side. Lots of primer there. I'll put 2 coats of this on, but I'm going to put you on time lapse and get this done. Would it have been better just to strip this thing all the way down, sandblast it, and paint the whole frame? Maybe, but I was really trying to avoid going overboard on the whole restoration on this, as my son decided we were just going to do a mechanical repair only, but things have kind of gone a little bit further down the rabbit hole than I expected, but in the end, it'd be nice. Okay guys, it's been about a week since I put the final coat on the frame, and I got the painted upper control arms just kind of sitting in there. Got our self-reman axles, so to speak, here with the new boots. Got some grease on the seal. We're going to get this slid in here. Okay. And now we can get our knuckle that's got a new ball joint on it. Our castle nuts on. "26 foot-pounds." Keep going. There you go. You got it? Do it one more time. There you go. Good. All right, we're gonna get the exhaust on. I did clean up the engine side here a little bit since it gave me some more access with the exhaust off. I got a new exhaust gasket or copper ring, really is what it is. Yeah. And then my son's handing me the new exhaust, courtesy of Friday Parts. And all the old bolts were just in really poor shape, so I did get new ones. We need to run that up though, before these are gonna fit. Just give you a close-up here of it real quick. I'm at the point where I need to get the tie rod ends replaced so I can get it on the machine to tighten up the knuckles. They just want to sit there and pivot, so it's easier once we get these on. I got 4 new genuine tie rod ends here. Some of them are reverse thread depending on which side. So I'm going to go ahead and get these changed out and then probably clean up the rod a little bit before I put it back on the machine. I feel like we're finally making good progress today. There's a flat on here for adjusting the tie rod that goes to the outside. We're at the point where I need to get the brakes on, and I know I mentioned earlier in the video that the brakes worked and seemed to be in good shape, but there were actually a lot of things wrong with it. Primarily, a few of the pistons in these wheel cylinders were stuck, and a few of these adjusters were stuck. So I took the pistons out, cleaned them up, and put new cup seals on the pistons on all of them. And I cleaned all the hardware up. So now we can start reassembling. These are marked left and right. There's a mark, let's see, R right here. And it does matter which ones these go in because some of these are reverse thread and there's arrows on these cylinders. So you can tell by which direction it extends out. So I'm going to go ahead and put you on time lapse and assemble all this so we can get it on the machine. As you saw, I got the front brakes done. I did quite a bit of other stuff off camera. I'll bring you in close and show you what I all got done. Most of it was just kind of adjustment and bleeding the brakes. So I got the wheel cylinders on both sides bled out. I got new vent lines going to each wheel right here that goes up to the steering column area. I adjusted the brakes, got the plugs in. Let's see, what else did I do here? Oh, I got the handbrake cable on, a new boot, a new reverse cable, and I got all these back together, new foot brake cable. And I need to get this cleaned up yet, the brake pivot and the brake lever. I got it drying because I put a coat of paint on it. Let's see, got the airbox, everything installed there. The snorkel on. So we're getting close to where we can start this thing up, but I'm just kind of plugging away on stuff that's, if it's not real interesting, I'm not going to record it, but otherwise I'll either time lapse you guys or just show it to you and speak through it. Plastics, I really haven't shown you guys too close their condition. They're not too bad. The little foot pieces are kind of mangled. I got new Honda ones. The brackets, a little mangled. And let me flip them over. It does have a crack right here we're going to try to take care of. It's like the tire got into it over here, but it's underneath that piece. But really, it's a good cleaning. I got a broken bolt that I did on that, so that'll be interesting. I think I could save it pretty well. I don't know how much of this is I'm going to record, but I'll definitely show you the results. So while I was over there sandblasting those brackets, my son runs over in a panic because I had mentioned don't break off any bolts. Well, he was using the impact on this handlebar bolt, and I think he had the impact in the wrong direction, and he's pretty timid right now and pretty upset at himself, but lucky for both of us, I was able to just unscrew it pretty easily with a little needle nose vice grip. But now we can go ahead and get some new grips on here. All right, bud, push it on.
Oh, that goes on easy. Yeah, that goes on easy.
Push before it gets, there we go. There we go.
It goes on a lot easier than I expected.
All right, it's the next morning. After I got all these parts sandblasted, I threw a primer and a top coat on them all. The pieces that I were bending straight yesterday turned out pretty well. And I'm just trying to gather all the hardware that I need. I got all these bolts and nuts and everything, clips and stuff from Partzilla. So I'm going through the part numbers on the website, trying to figure out which bolt goes where. Just very minor differences, so trying to keep everything straight. once I get everything figured out, I'll start assembling on the frame and I'll bring you guys back for that. Well, I'm ready to start working on this plastic. I ordered some plastic welding tools from Amazon. One is like a melting, let's say this is the stapler kit where it melts the little reinforcement staples in. And this is the, it's kind of like a glorified soldering iron. So between the two, I'm gonna work on fixing this crack. And then I also need the pockets. This one's okay, but this pocket up here is damaged. And the parts on the frame, there's a clip that goes in here. You probably saw me putting it on the bracket already. This needs fixed, so I don't know how I'm gonna make out with this. I've never done any plastic welding whatsoever, but I'm gonna see how it turns out, I guess. I'm gonna make all the hot staple repairs from the bottom to keep them hidden, and then I'm gonna use the kind of the blending iron on top. There's the little stapler, and like I said, never done this before. It's supposed to get, well, yeah, it's smoking already. So I think it'll work. I'm gonna make my initial patch, or stitch, I guess you'd call it, to kind of hold it together right here. This is probably one of the more important ones. Not as easy as it seems. Not too bad from the top. Now I'm gonna try to fill this in with the iron. I'm gonna use clear because my research on the internet basically said that this sticks out less than trying to match the color. I'm gonna first make a little groove, melt a little groove in here for this to go before I add any filler. Basically getting no penetration, so I'm not doing it right. I think I finally got the hang of it. You definitely got to get the base material melted and blended with the clear, and it does blend pretty well with the clear. I think it's pretty strong actually, so I think we're good with that. Really my only other problem is this fender clip here. This is what it's supposed to look like. It's completely ripped out, so I'm going to see if I can fix that. There is damage from the tire here, but it's completely covered by the flare, so I'm not going to worry about that. Other than that, the repair over here from the bottom still looks great. That's strong. I worked on this about a half an hour, and I'm pretty impressed, actually. I'm really happy with how it turned out, and it's super strong. On a close-up there, it looks kind of nasty, but it definitely suit the need here. I filled this kind of in with, actually took some, zoom me out here, some plastic from here and filled this corner in, and it should work good. So, yeah. Off camera, I went ahead and threw on the exhaust heat shield, and now I'm ready to get the rear fender on. So I've been looking over this rear rack, and this this right side is bent. It's really kind of hard to see, but it causes this fender to sit low. And I thought about putting it in the press over there. I think, based on some measuring, it's bent here and here, and you can actually kind of see that angle's a little off compared to that one. So I'm going to heat it here and here and bend that one, then I'm going to have to clamp it down here and bend it the rest of the way, I guess. So I'm going to have to use a torch. Hey, all the paint dry on the main rack, and I even cleaned up this little sub rack, and I got some new plastic bushings for it. So I can get this bolted on now. I've been doing a lot of work on the front fender, and especially practicing my plastic welding skills. Filled in this area. I took extra material from up here since it doesn't really do anything, and fixed that one, and I completely built that up with clear stuff. That's strong, and a little bit here and there. So I'm pretty stoked about how good those plastic welders work, but it takes a lot of practice, that's for sure. This pile of hardware should be everything I need to get the inner fenders and the fender itself mounted to the machine. A few finishing touches. Guys ready for this? Sounds the same as it did. Hang on, let me on. All right, go ahead. All right, come on, tell me what you got. Too high a gear.
Yeah, you're gonna put it in neutral.
All right, go on, give a gas. Shift it. Faster, faster. All right, go back to our trail.
No, I don't trust myself yet.
Okay.
I want to get a little better control of this, you know?
All right, let me off. Nice downshifting.